Hello, guys. Hope you're doing well. This is TJ, and you're listening to Beyond the Ring podcast. And this is my review of another horrible show, horrible week that started off with with bad show, Monday Night Raw. So the week actually starts off with a very bad show and ends with somewhat with good show. I would say last week was like that. So SmackDown is not bad, kind of at the level of Monday Night Raw or something. Last week was good, and before that week as well. I would not say they are on the level of Monday Night Raw, but they were coming to that. But last week was rectified by SmackDown. So they but man, this show is just getting better and better and better. It's miserable, man. How to see this show? I mean, I actually saw this show at sometimes I actually forwarded and forwarded and had put the speed on the 1.75 or 2x as well, just to not miss anything or something. Don't know, we cannot expect something that would be happening. So it's a WWE. We don't know what would be happening. So I just see the show. The second hour was like that. First hour I saw okay, man, okay. First hour it was bearable. First hour was bearable. Second hour, man, it doesn't hold well, man. It doesn't hold well. It's so bad. It's so bad. I can just talk about this, but there's a whole show that I want to discuss. So you'd be wondering, why should I listen to this review? Then you should listen to this because for one thing only, and that's that my thoughts on this show and how they can do something that can become better for Monday Night Raw. I know that Monday Night Raw or WWE would not be listening to this small YouTubers review or something, but just I just love upon doing this, so that's why I'm doing like other wrestling fan base. So let's get into this show. So before we get into this review, please do like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel for more wrestling content like this. So without any further ado, let's get to this horrible show. So the match first we saw was a tag team battle royal between the New Day, Nandy or RK Bro can say versus T-Bar and Mace versus Lince Dorado. So Lince Dorado, Karen Medlick is not there because he's injured, and we have Viking Raiders, and also we have John Morrison from the side of Miz and John Morrison tag team. So Miz is injured. He actually came out. Prior to that, AJ Styles came out and he actually brags upon each and every member's quality and who is how and what's their quality are, and what are they good about, and they want challenges, and they are very happy to see these great tag teams, as he says. Man, AJ Styles, are you saying some great tag teams there? I don't know why. So my prediction was either RK Bro or the shocker. I was thinking about was T-Bar and Mace, because they were in the sideline, and WWE wants to put shock on something like just push them for one pay-per-view and then just drag them down to a jobber kind of thing, and they does all of that very well. And Kofi Kingston was that, and this show he actually just was another guy. He was last 2 weeks was he was in the WWE Championship picture, and now he's just doing. I mean, man, what are the bookings going on? I don't know. I mean, this is not the one thing that I'm telling. There more to do as well. There's more things as well. That's way bad. And they are booking just lazy show. They don't have any plans. They just want to. They knew that I have actually told about that. They knew that the fans would chew about this show week after week, because they are WWE. So they are one of the what, they're the biggest organization of the wrestling industry. So they would not be bankrupt or something, like if they put on continuously 2 years bad show or something, because they have such money and they have fans. Still there will be fans that would be seeing this show and would be saying that it was good. And if we could say, we are also dumb because the reviewers are also dumb. We have been seeing this Monday Night Raw since many years, and we have been seeing suggestions and all thoughts and all, but just they are not changing, and just we are watching it, and we thinks about that. Maybe they would be improving, maybe they would be improving. Yeah, but no, man, the long term improvement is not there. one match show is not the thing. I was saying there are some weeks there are which there are some weeks which shows are very the matches are good. Some matches like Madrid versus Kofi Kingston, one match don't make the 2 hour show good. No, no. The opening and the closing thing is the most important thing, and the wrestling as well is the storyline build up is also the main thing. So, man, they are just having some matches, and the Raw show, as I see as I'm seeing this show since many weeks, since many years. I'm just saying that the Raw show is not the Raw show we had seen about in 2016, 2017, or like that, because the Raw show is like, if you want to just see random matches or something, you can tune into this show. You can see random matches. Would be having a dream match or something like a crossover style or something. You could watch that. They have talents, but the booking, man, there no story. Wrestling is based on story, man. I think about if they have no story, they're just wrestling. It's just another. They are just fighting out. I would say that. So that's the point of wrestling business. If you don't have to tell the good story, the baby face versus heel story very well, have some build up and all, there's no point. Just simple thing. And I'm not just telling that it's very simple to book or something. I know how the tough it is, but each and every week they are doing the repeat matches, and this was a rematch of the rematch, all of them. I would discuss about that. So first match, this was a tag team battle royal. So this was a surprisingly, I didn't thought about this would be okay match or something. It was bad, I think. So Viking Raiders were good in this match. So I thought about that Viking Raiders or New Day. Sorry. RK Bro would be winning this match, because New Day we have been seeing 1,000 times, 10,000 times these tag team champions. They are having their n number of champions, and I don't think upon that WWE would be doing another. And T-Bar and Mace, they actually were eliminated first by they were gone in the first elimination, and we had Viking leader John Morrison also was eliminated. So I didn't think about Lindsay Dorado or John Morrison, because they were in the disadvantage, because they only had one team. They didn't have their tag team partner. So this match was a okay match, opening match. So, some okay action, I would say. Not long, or not a long match or so. There was action, and this was 10 minutes or something. And in the beginning, actually, Orton and Matt Riddle actually hits a flurry of RKO's on Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, and Lindsay Dorado and all. And then we get to the match then, and they all begin with, so T-Bar and Mace were the first who was eliminated, and then we got Matt Riddle as well. Then we got Lindsay Dorado getting eliminated, and then we saw John Morrison as well get eliminated. And after that match, uh, uh, actually Matt Riddle got eliminated. And Matt Riddle, there was a moment here. Matt Riddle actually came about in the ring and took the Trouble in Paradise by Kofi Kingston, which was being aimed for Randy Orton, but he pushes away Randy Orton and he took that. And he was already eliminated, but he just came over to save his teammate Randy Orton. So they are doing this thing. So they are gonna not break up, as I see. So I don't think so. They are gonna break up. WWE can do anything in 1 week or something if they want to break up. But as I'm feeling, I don't think so. They are breaking up. In the initial, there were reports that they would be breaking up. They would be having a rivalry or something. But after until now, I don't think so like that. So in the end, we saw. Uh, Actually, Ivar body slams Orton. Then Eric looks to do the same to Ivar onto Orton actually, but Kofi flies off the top rope with a storm to the back and squashing both Raiders. And Orton up and turns Riddle in and takes trouble in paradise with Kofi, as I said. And Kofi is eliminated by Orton, and Orton then Eric sends Orton over the top rope. And I think about Matt Riddle is not eliminated. How the hell? But they actually said about, and they actually show as well, because. I was not completely into this match, but just seeing how it would be. It was an okay match, just an average match, just to have that number one contendership. So Viking Raiders is the new tag team contenders for the AJ Styles and Omos tag team championship. So great to see a new tag team coming up. Viking Raiders, they didn't got, because I think Eric was injured, and then they were not in the tag team picture title picture, so they are there. And then we got to this was the match, and then we got to the another scenario where Nikki beat Rhea. Man, yeah. Nikki beat Rhea in a beat the clock challenge, and Charlotte actually tells Pierce and Sonia that Sonia Deville that she wants another match, but they says that you do one thing, because Rhea Ripley came about. You do one thing. You do to have a tag team match with Nikki Cross, and Nikki Cross would be have another partner. So that partner was not very shocking or something. She was not there for some weeks after that loss with that number one contendership for the Raw Women's Championship. So and I maybe I don't want to surprise you guys, because you can completely know about who these guys are, who these would be, because they are the same contenders, same challengers, same partners. I mean, what I would say. I don't know. And PS says that they don't, they cannot make a compromise or something, and Charlotte giving another opportunity, but they can make this tag team match official. So they had the match. What is the booking? I mean, no. As I see, Rhea Ripley and Charlotte is a top heel, I think upon. But in the match, it was another story. But I'll get into that when the match will be discussed. And Elias gets into the ring. So Elias actually turned on Riker last week when he was when Jackson Ryder got to the corner of Elias to get the tag, but he abandoned him, and he said that he just wanted not to carry upon his ass in the live show or something. So that's why he just want to walk alone. So he says walk with WWE stands for walk with Elias. So that's he's a single superstar now. So Riker comes from the back, and Riker had the attack. So this was interesting because there's something, because Hilton was occurred, and Riker had his Riker wanted to take a want to have want to harm and take that onto Elias, and that frustration and all that angriness that Elias actually turned on him. So this was a good, but the match result, man, the ending, this won't be in a very match. And as I say, the positive point, Riker was so good in this match. I mean, Riker was a very good singles. He's a very good single superstar. I would say he wrestles good, and he has this look change as well. Some hair as well, some beard as well, something change. Yeah. So there was a change in the look that he had, and in the end we saw Riker attacks a midsection. Elias with spine buster goes for the pin but didn't get it. Elias with an inverted atomic rob, Riker caps the chin and then hits a choke slam, and Elias leaves the ring then because he just wanted not to fight Riker. So DQ finish. WWE don't kind of escape from having a DQ situation or something. It's always like that. So DQ situation. So this match would have been good, man. Why do they didn't they? Next week would be another. This match would be again repeated. I am sure that this match would be another, because commentators actually said this is far from over. So they actually books the same thing that they DQ finish, and then they have a match, and then they have another match next week, and then they even build up on the pay-per-view as well. I mean, man, why do we expect the same weekly match you want to see in the pay-per-view as well? I don't know, man. They just should have finished this match like a good thing. I don't have any problem with Elias winning or Jackson Riker winning, because if heel is getting the upper hand, I mean, that would be having another match for I may that would be okay. I would say I can say that in the next week, if Allies win, and the next week another match is going on, and why cheating or something, and Jackson Riker had another match and Jackson Riker win, and that would be end of story or something. It's not a big story or something that fans is caring about this Hilton, because they weren't a with the way they actually weren't a very big tag team or something. So fans don't. This is not ages as Omos or kind of a Sheamus or Cesaro. Man, when I'm speaking about Sheamus and Cesaro, that was a time, man, when tag team division was so good, man. The bar actually broke up, and after that, the tag team division is not good, and we are very fed up seeing the New Day having the same old that thing. Character is not changing; they are just having the same thing. And then we have contract signing of Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley, and the contract signing is next. And Drew is out first, and he actually talks about the story of a of a king in the Scotland called King Robert the Bruce, and he's actually had a motivational story that he actually lost many big battles, and he actually when he took a look into the look up, and he actually saw. Um, uh, uh, what is it? A spider making the web, and he was just falling about, and he just tried and tried and tried. So he says that at the end that if at first you don't succeed, you will beat Lashley's ass at Hell in a Cell. He just changed upon that quote, as he says. So no, so he says that he will he will beat Lashley at Hell in a Cell. So MVP then shows up on the screen, and they have some business to discuss about. They had the music played, but they didn't come out, and finally they come out with ladies and all. And MVP congratulates Drew on manipulating and having the way for another title shot. And Lashley has some demands, as he says, and he says that Lashley says that there's a one of the last opportunity is Drew getting okay. I mean, they are telling this now for ages now, and I mean, I don't have problem getting Drew, but that's not interesting, man. When you see, would be a good match. I mean, but they are doing this match for a straight three pay-per-views now. WrestleMania Backlash, and now Hell in a Cell. Hope they don't do in Money in the Bag or some Money in the Bank or something. I want new challengers. And Braun Strowman is gone. Who would be the new challenger then? I don't know who would be the new challenger. I mean, I would have to think about who would be the new challenger. I don't want some jobber or something coming up, because that's not good, man. You have not built up this superstar. I'm not against getting any opportunity or something, an open challenge or something. That's okay, of one-off thing or something in a week episode. But I don't want just like that Sheamus situation is going on. US Championship is just acting like or a US champion is just acting like a disgrace. And I hope that Sheamus actually recovered. I just get onto this situation like yeah, I just act upon. So speaking about this situation, this segment, Drew accepts the terms, and he actually wants a match, no outside interference, and he wants a Hell in a Cell match in a Hell in a Cell. So he wants to have Hell in a Cell that no interference could be having. So we don't know if there will be interference of Undertaker then. I don't know. Just a joke. Will not be coming. Just a joke. So they have this segment, and then it was good, and they actually signed upon the agreement. The contract signing was done, and Drew actually had the sword in his hand. He actually swung upon the table, and it cuts into half, and he was intimidating Lashley, and Lashley was pissed off, and there was a teasing of some scuffle going on, but nothing happened. So that was it was a good okay segment, but this would have been next week's, I think, because next week we have the Raw episode, contract signing and all. You should do next the last go home show. And what's the thing for next week? Then they would be eventually having something face off or something. Lashley would be standing in the ring or on the stage. McIntyre would be standing on the ring or thing. I don't know. Maybe some promo or something, backstage promo, and they're done. The build. I mean, build. I don't care about this build because I just wanted to get over with this. Because I want new challenges. If they wanted to make Drew McIntyre, they better make in the Hell in a Cell. I mean, if what are they trying to prove? I don't know. If they are giving after opportunity after opportunity for Drew McIntyre, they are really thinking to put the belt on Drew McIntyre. Because if they wanted to put him in the major pay-per-view, they would have done in major WrestleMania, or they would have waited upon SummerSlam. They definitely don't wanted to put Drew McIntyre that match, WWE match, championship match in SummerSlam, because they are planning upon John Cena or coming up, or maybe Brock Lesnar as well. The rumor is coming up very, and it's getting very hot, and I don't know how the fans would accept after. How the fans will react after the fans come back. So there's a one little hope that I'm hoping for. When fans come back, hope Monday Night Raw improves and have some good storylines that's going up, and some big stars coming up would be good as well. John Cena coming back would be great to see, because SmackDown don't need to have some star, because it already have stars. If you see Kevin Owens, you have Roman Reigns. He's single-handedly taking the SmackDown. So if you want to add, you can add it. I don't know, man. Brock Lesnar is a fit for Raw, I would say. Maybe there's two rivalries that he can go with is maybe Drew McIntyre again. If he wins the WWE Championship and Brock Lesnar actually challenges him, or maybe you can say a triple threat match: Brock Lesnar, Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley. But I'm not so interested in that. I'm more into seeing Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar, and that's a dream match that fans have been expecting for long now. So I want that. So if they are doing that, I mean that's good for WWE Championship picture. So that's it. So then we got to the another segment where Sarah Schreiber is backstage and Nikki had the interview and she had the partner, and it's none other than Asuka, and Asuka has finally returned after that loss, and she's having the match with Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. So Asuka and then we saw Sheamus comes out with a face guard. Sheamus segment is when Sheamus wants to talk about injustice, as he says, he wonders how these two can get a match for his title after he's breaking his face. And if you think about, as I said last week, they are having the number one contendership back this week because they just wanted to get on with this 2 week show. So finally they are doing it, and next week would be some type of a brawl or something between Humberto Carrillo and maybe Humberto Carrillo and Ricochet loading upon Sheamus or something. And Sheamus is having that mask. I don't know he would be wrestling. I mean, he comes out with the face guard. He had his I mean. I don't know what his status is. Maybe he will be wrestling in LS and 2 weeks is left. So this storyline is so bad, man. They Ricochet and Humberto Carrillo just build upon like friends, and they just hanging out each other. I don't know, man. Just another match that they had. Number one contender match was this was, and I didn't care about. In the end, we saw elbow. We saw a very bad ending as well. Not an ending. What was the ending? They had a DQ, and they're definitely gonna have next week another day, number one contender were just dragged upon. I mean, they are just doing these matches 2 to 3. They just have Sheamus, the United States champion, beat upon, and Sheamus is doing nothing. He's not strong. He acts like a strong guy, but he's not strong. These two guys, these two small guys out of nowhere. I mean, I'm okay with getting the opportunity or something, but the story that they are telling it not good, man. One of them should have to be turned heel or something, even Ricochet or Humberto Carrillo. But they're just building them as a jobber guy, and it's gonna be Ricochet or Humberto Carrillo. I don't care about, and it will be Sheamus retaining the championship. I just want to get it over with again, and I hope that Sheamus puts some respect on that US title, man, and he gets some good storyline. I mean, you can have some match with Kofi Kingston as well. He's doing nothing. So if he's not in the tag team picture, he can go for the US title. US title, yeah. He was in the WWE Championship, so if we didn't won, if he definitely can go for United States Championship. That would be good rivalry, short rivalry. I mean, it's not wrong to do. He was a WWE champion. Uh, so I don't know, man. That's just my thought. What I'm telling, just bad. The show was very bad at this time. So then we got, and this was first hour. As I'm saying, I just said about that. This first hour was okay because the first match was good. Second match, Elias Jackson Riker, I didn't like the point, but I like the showing of Jackson Riker. I just want to tell about what my thought is, the match ending and all, which was not good. And then we saw MVP comes about to Kofi Kingston, and Kofi Kingston teased a heel character, kind of coming up heel character, because I mean, he actually MVP actually discussed upon, he was that he was so proud when he won the WWE Championship. He just came up short at this point, and he actually brags about his almighty WWE champion Bobby Lashley, and he said that uh, MVP was kind of inviting Kofi Kingston to MVP's that MVP's team actually, and Kofi says that you are being held by the families, and he was getting into the head. So they are just teasing it. Maybe not in this month or something, but they are definitely teasing Kofi Kingston having a heel turn. I mean, another tag team breaking up. Then I mean, what they are doing, and I mean. there's no point in building up New Day around because Big E is on SmackDown. He's having his own singles career, and after post that breakup, Big E, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, they had singles match, better singles match than they had the tag team match. They are not looking so good after without a Big E, without Big E. So they are breaking up, and they would be having some singles match. If they want to have, they better build it one, because they better build this rivalry, because this is not a one man tag. It's a tag team that was formed 1 year 6 months ago. It's a 10 to 15 years long tag team that they had. So they better tell a very teasing it, it's good, but they better tell a good story, a very personal story. If they can bring upon Big E or something, and Kofi Kingston having a heel turn, and if he have US champion or something, US championship or something, and then going on his own, that would be good as well, man. Think about that. So some great storytelling that they can bring about, but they do is a DQ finish, match after match after match, and you build upon in the pay-per-view and another match, then maybe the DQ as well there. I mean, the storyline pattern as they are doing, I don't want to see messed up the storyline, because if they wanted to turn Kofi before SummerSlam and have that match with Xavier Woods or something, that would be a very great good singles match between, and make it personal. I want to see that, make it personal, this storyline personal. I don't have problem with Kofi Kingston turning heel, because I'm not gonna think about that they are going for tag team championship now, and that's also a setup for storyline as well, because they are not a cohesive tag team after Big E is gone. They had got one reign, but WWE can turn it around with the storyline about this. So that bringing about Kofi, bringing about Biggie, and that family thing would also be good. But Kofi actually defends, and he says that family and friends provide him with the motivation that he says it's all what he does, and he says, and he's completely not into that. But he was thinking for a brief second that he was turning heel or something. That's teasing. WWE is teasing. So kind of interesting thing that we got in this row, a minute interesting thing that we got, and then we got Lashley actually. Then we got actually backstage. Ali gives Mansoor some tips on facing Drew Gulak. They had the random match, and Mansoor is kind of acting as a manager. I don't have problem with Mansoor acting. Sorry, Ali acting the manager. I actually liked upon. So there was small things that I actually liked upon. Ali is doing nothing. If Ali and Mansoor is if they are good, they are kind of expected like this from a same descent from that Arabic city, Arabia, Saudi Arabia. So that would be a good team as well, tag team as well as Mansoor Ali acting the manager of Mansoor could be a good change as well. I mean, Ali can act as a very good heel, and he was looking good at that manager position, at that court and all. He was looking good. So maybe they were teasing as well. And the match we saw also. Mansoor Ali actually looking up on Mansoor's and Drew Gulak match. So before that, we have finally Jeff Hardy retaining very underutilized talent, man. He's just there. They're just not utilizing him. Jeff Hardy can have storyline with Sheamus as well. I know they had the storyline, but they can do a very good storyline as well again. I mean, they can do. It would not be kind of Humberto Curry or something. I definitely can say that. So this was a very random match. I was happy to see Jeff Hardy return, and his wrestling and all his moves and all. And gladly Jeff Hardy took the victory. In the end, we saw twist of fate. Cedric escape, fakes a drop kick, kicks a knee, brainbuster and cover, but he kicks out Cedric. Then Cedric picks him up and hits him up on the top rope. Waits for Jeff. Mock actually he actually mocks Jeff Hardy with that signal that he come about for that swanton bomb. Kick to Cedric, then he was coming up from the top rope. Twist of fate, Jeff to the top rope. Swanton cover for 1, 2, 3, and I'm glad that Jeff Hardy got the victory. It was a short match, okay match, average match. Not to just nothing to say about like that. And Cedric's character is improving. He's turned he's a very mocky heel, cocky heel, and he's doing good. I mean, if they capitalize on that, not on Shelton Benjamin storyline, they capitalize on thing, giving Cedric Alexander an opportunity for US title or something, that would be okay as well. So I'm putting on storylines, man. if WWE listens or anybody listens who can talk about this thing in their episode or podcast, better say, man, because they can do the storyline also. There's several ideas you can do. You have the best talent in your roster. I mean, Raw is not short of talent. They have so much good talent, but they're just not doing anything. They are lazy. They just wanted to going there. What are they thinking? I don't know. They why, what are they thinking? Like fans would be expect accepting the storyline. I don't know, man. There would be guys like there would be a small percentage of guys like who would be liking this. So you can have Cedric Alexander as well. His heel work is good. He can also challenge Sheamus as well. So I don't know, man. What are they thinking about? There's so much talent there. Just they are not doing nothing. No good storyline. And then we got another kind of tag team match. Backstage, we saw Rhea actually and Charlotte actually prepares for. I don't understand Rhea Ripley and Charlotte's character. I mean, I don't. I know that they are both heels. That's not working each other. They are not working good. I mean, I can say it right about it that said it ton of times that Rhea Ripley, turning her heel was a very 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 bad decision by WWE, by the creative team, obviously, that they did. So if she would have been a face, that would have been good. I mean, Charlotte suits that heel character very well, and both of them heels, and you're doing the championship match storyline. Actually, the wrestling 101 says that you should have a baby face versus heel, and I'm not saying that we haven't seen heel versus heel or something. We have points. We also have seen that face versus face as well, like John Cena versus Roman Reigns. It was face versus face. But in the match moment, if for example John Cena hit a low blow, would you be booing him? Maybe you could be kind like if you have seen him a lot of times, you would be booing. Or another thing would be maybe he's kind of taking a heel turn or something. Or after that, Roman Reigns have that hit a low blow. What would you be thinking then? So that's the feeling, man. I mean, you'd not be kind of hating like a heel or something like you can say Bobby Lashley is a heel, but he's a fan favorite. There's no strong heel or something you can say. Sheamus is a heel somewhat, but he's also a fan favorite. I can say that he's heel, but he's also a favorite that fans don't want to see Humberto Carrillo or Mansoor as the Mansoor, not what's his name. Uh, I don't remember what his name was. Uh, Humberto Carrillo or Ricochet holding the US Championship. They are not built like that. They were jobbers and they just came out of nowhere. They had a match in the kickoff show, and they just doing tracking upon the storyline. Anyways, man, you can talk about this for hours, but I just went to the match. Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley. Actually, Charlotte Flair was kind of having a face, kind of face, kind of doing that thing because Rhea Ripley was had a fall on the outside, and Charlotte Flair was helping her kind of, and Rhea Ripley actually shoves her off, and Charlotte Flair hits with a forearm. So kind of Charlotte Flair kind of turning up. If they're doing it, I know I don't have any problem with that because I want a face versus heel match. Because this is not a tag team championship or a tag kind of a two on two, just kind of a very simple storyline or something. This is for a championship. If you do a championship match, you should have babyface versus heel. A strong heel versus babyface is a thing, but I mean, it's not working, man. It's not looking good. And in the end, we saw Rhea and Charlotte. In the whole match, they were not working with each other. They were tagging by chopping each other by my mocking. Rhea actually mocks Charlotte with that like you're a child or something kind of reaction. And yeah, in the end, Rhea with a pump handle, but Charlotte actually rakes the face, and ref didn't DQ the match. They were fighting off for 1 minute or something, half a minute I would say, 30 seconds or something. The ref was just looking on. They was just standing. I mean, what are they doing? A natural selection. And Nikki had the moment. Nikki got the victory, and she's happy as hell. And they are celebrating on the commentator's table. And Nikki Cross. I mean, I like her, but her character is so childish, and it is not fitting her. I mean, I'm not just talking about all the things like bad. It's bad, man. All the things are bad. That's what I'm telling. which is something is good, I would be telling that. I would be telling. And then we got another, and then we got an interesting situation that was kind of waiting for that Alexa Bliss, Shayna Baszler story, and finally Alexa Bliss having entering debut, return. You can say Shayna Baszler having the singles push or the singles main storyline that she's getting. So Drew Gulak versus Mansoor is the next match, and before that we actually see. Yeah, before that we actually seen that in the match. In the match, actually, we saw that Drew Gulak, Mansoor actually was being seen by Ali, and Ali was back, and he's doing good, man. It's like it's better to do something like do nothing actually. So Drew Gulak was the man. So this was a very very short match, kind of where Drew with a body slam it up into the finish, but Mansoor lands on his feet, gets rolled up. So roll up finish, reversed it, and Mansoor get the victory. So a 2 minute match, and uh, and then we saw backstage Riddle and Orton having their own kind of chit chat, kind of a Burger King chit chat. They would be doing that, and now we would be doing that. And Riddle actually asked if you would come for this match against Kofi Kingston, because this was being displayed in a match in the prior in the show. Again, a rematch. Just you are having, just you had a very best match of your night. Doesn't mean that you are doing a rematch after rematch after rematch for like a no story kind of rematch. No story. Matt Riddle versus Kofi Kingston again. Just having a storyline that Kofi Kingston actually was eliminated by Matt Riddle or something. That's why they are doing another thing. It's just to fill time, just to find out the storyline, just to have. So they're just sticking up a kind of with your saliva. You're just sticking up just to fill the card, just to fill that position. You're just sticking up with that. Man, this was not a good match. Like prior, like we saw 2 weeks before, this was not kind of that match. And Orton actually come out, and in the finish we saw Riddle was in overconfidence mode. Riddle had that spike DDT of Randy Orton, and Randy Orton spin him, but he didn't pin him. He goes for the RKO, but it was reversed from Kofi to Trouble in Paradise and get the win. And they Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods are definitely maybe having a heel turn. Maybe I don't know. They apathy when they were getting attacked. I think about that. RK Bro was more looking as a face than Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. And I mean, that's good if Kofi Kingston is turning heel. But what's the point for that? If they are breaking them up and having that some personal story and in for SummerSlam, and that's what I'm looking for. They have so many ideas. They have so many ideas they can build up, but they just don't do, man. They just don't build that up. They just have rematches or rematch, DQ finish and all, no explanation on all for some storyline. And finally, we saw this was the this was the ending, and this was the main event, you can say. Because after this we have the main event was not there, because we have they actually had Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, Alexa Bliss story. Alexa Bliss has a Alexa Playground segment, which was announced last week. Shayna Baszler was called upon, invited upon, and she comes up. And this time it's not backstage; it's in the ring. So that's great, man. And the storyline is good. I mean, you can say that the only thing that's going good is this storyline. Only thing that is going good. Rest all the thing, even WWE Championship, that's repetitive, man, and that's also going good. I mean, I would say that contract signing was okay. I mean, it's somewhat okay, good, I would say. But just to have that match to set up kind of good announcement that Hell in a Cell match is there. So at least one match is in a Hell in a Cell, not just a Hell in a Cell name pay per view. Just doing one thing. Maybe I don't know. Women's championship is not in the Hell in a Cell, I think so. I just don't want many matches, because last year we had two matches. Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso, that was in the Hell in a Cell, and we also had Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre as well. That was a Hell in a Cell, yeah, that was a Hell in a Cell, or yeah, I think so, that was Hell in a Cell. So he actually discussed upon the promo as well. I have the experience in Hell in a Cell that he had, and he just He's just ready for taking the pain, as he said. Just remembered upon. That's why I said. So getting to the segment, actually, this was interesting. That the show closing was good. The show closing was good. I can say that, but the rest of the shows was bad. So we got that Shayna Nayak comes up and says to Shayna, better be kind of careful and cautious because she's not normal or something. But Shayna isn't afraid. Shayna says she'd be all right. Shayna says she'd be all right to Naya, and she's not kind of she's very pissed off because of Shayna actually attacked Reginald, and Naya didn't argue or something, and Shayna tells that she didn't want help or something, and this segment was actually in the ring, actually Alexa background segment. So Lily was there, and Lily actually the straight to the point. Lily actually have want to have an apology, actually apology made by Shayna Baszler for what she said last week, that she's just a doll or something, and Shayna just laughs off, and Shayna calls her delusional and says she's the reason behind Reggie's incidents and all. She's also the reason of Nia Jax and are no longer the champions. And Alexa Bliss just laughs off, and she's silly and just says she just wants everyone to be friends, and she's not the reason why you lost the tag team champions. And Lily whispers something again, and Alexa says she wants apology, that she wants it would be best interest to apologize to Lily. It would be the best interest. It would be better to be apologize to Lily. So as I see the storyline playing out, as is this segment from last week, I'm thinking that Alexa Bliss and that Fiend storyline is heel storyline, while Shayna Baszler is looking like a face. I mean, this is not the Shayna Baszler didn't do anything. It was Alexa Bliss who attacked with that fire that pyro thing that she's doing. So she finally sets a target on Shayna Baszler. So Shayna Baszler, I think so. Shayna Baszler and Alexa Bliss would be the match in Hell in a Cell. I'm excited for this match. I mean, if it happens in Hell in a Cell or kind of a gimmick match or something, I won't be surprised or something. I mean, I'm interested to see if it's in a Hell in a Cell, women's Hell in a Cell match. I mean, having a men's Hell in a Cell match, women's Hell in a Cell match, interesting if they do that. So WWE, even though they don't have good shows, weekly shows, but they kind of make it something and good, have some good pay-per-views. Every pay-per-views, past pay-per-views, they have been good. They've been doing good. I mean, WrestleMania Backlash was good, not an excellent. WrestleMania was good. Fans came back, and Fastlane, I don't know how it was like that, but Royal Rumble was a very good pay-per-view of this year, one of the best pay-per-view, and I would say, yeah. And Alexa actually Lily. Lily whisper, as I said, Lily whispers something, and Alexa says it would be her best interest to apologize to Lily. And Shayna grabs Lily with the angriness, and she says sorry that and sorry, I apologize to you because you are a stupid doll. And and Alexa Bliss got angry, and she was angry, and she comes with a right hand. And I thought about that Shayna Baszler would be out after that right hand, but she mounts and punches over and over, and Alexa actually pounds and punches over and over. Shayna pushes her out, and she gets out of the ring because she actually understood that this is not going good, because before going good, before having getting out of the situation, Shayna Baszler, Alexa Bliss on the outside, and Shayna Baszler had that Lily doll, Lily in the ring actually, and she just storms her with an authority, and that made the story a very personal, man. And she was crying, and the lights were flickering. So a very good storytelling there. I thought that Lily's died, but Alexa was laughing after that. She was holding Lily, and she was laughing. I think Lily is also invisible kind of character, that she would not be dying or something. I mean, if Lily's died, if that storyline is going to come out for next week, that would be great storyline. If you think about Lily's died, and if you had that emotion played out, if you had that emotion played out, and if you know Alexa Bliss actually in real life lost her pet, that pig. Larry the pig. So that emotion can be brought into this character if you think upon. While for getting lost, Lily and her death and all, and it would be a very great story. I mean, as I see Shayna stomping Lily. I still think that Shayna is a face here. Alexa Bliss is a heel, because Alexa Bliss is the one who actually starts off. But we see, when we see kind of in a, if you see kind of in a hurry or something, you could see that Shayna is a heel because she actually harmed the friend of Alexa Bliss. You can say that. So Shayna runs a hell out of as Pyro gets coming up at every point of the stadium of the Thunderdome, and she actually escaped upon, and there's no one actually in the backstage, and she's escaping from door after door, and she says, I just got this, and she had sofas and all, just locked the door and just put the sofas and all on the door, and she actually saw Lily in the room, and that was and then she just said, it's just a doll, and it was getting into her mind, and finally it got into her mind as she screams, and this was the end of the show. We end with the scream of Shayna as we end the show, and she actually kicked the glass mirror as well, as she was that was where she was saw Lily the doll in the room. So she was angry, frustrated, and she just kicked her. So finally, that had in his mind that Lily is in her mind, and she actually understood that it's not it's not a doll or something, it has some powers or something. So only storyline, only interesting stuff you can say in this Raw episode would be this Alexa Bliss storyline and Shayna Baszler. That the ending was the show was very good. I liked about it, and I'm interested to see how it goes about for next week. And you cannot say that this show for one thing that you can say that this show was excellent. No, I'm not saying this was a bad show. Nothing to say that nothing to have some great or didn't have some good wrestling match or something. No story matches, all of them. So very very bad, very very bad, awful Raw episode. So very bad than last week and the previous week as well. Previous week was average, and then this was the baddest, I would say, in the May month or something. After May month, this is the baddest episode in this month, you can say. So this was a Raw episode. So do tell your thoughts if you have seen, like me, if you have seen the show. Do tell your thoughts in the comment section below. What were your thoughts, and what would you expect the storyline going forward for Alexa Bliss and Shayna Baszler? Are you interested in the storyline? And who are you? Who wants you to have the next challenge after Hell in a Cell for the WWE Championship? I know that it's very early to predict, but still you can say, because the Hell in a Cell match, it's not a new or something, it's a repetitive match that's going to be just it's in Hell in a Cell. So that's it, man. Please do sure to like. Please be sure to like this video, share this video with your friends, wrestling friends, and subscribe to my channel for more wrestling content, reviews, documentary reviews, and check out my all contents in the YouTube channel. I have tons and tons of contents, and so please take a little time and just watch my content. I would be very glad if you check out that. Very appreciative, guys, if you are supporting. You are having just watching it. Great, man. So great feeling, man. So I just love to talk about wrestling, even though I planned about that. Should I do this Raw review every week, because this not bearable, man. This is not bearable just of one thing that they show. That's not a good thing that you can say about any show, just one for that one thing. So be sure to subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, stay energetic, and peace.